So, 80s fans, you think you've seen it all? Okay, Christopher Cross, get a load of this. It's I Love the 80s 3D, and this is 1980.
Do you have to put it so crudely?
The flicks.
That's not music, Martelli. That's masturbation.
The fashions.
Short skirt? Check.
The trends.
That is not a Spanish ass.
The TV.
Wilma's looking real foxy.
The tunes. Coming at you in mind-blowing 3D. A totally awesome year that gave us these burning questions. Is setting yourself on fire just good, solid comedy?
You know that even when he was, like, on fire and going, this is going to be a good bit.
Can those eggheads at Intellivision ever beat out Atari?
You have to be a math genius to play baseball.
And why is Paul McCartney smuggling wacky weed in his suitcase?
I think you should be able to hire someone else to do all your drug running.
Plus, the cuddly and lovable Elephant Man.
You had elephantitis, where your face just looks like dog.
Because you love the 80s. Yes. Because you're still taking the Pepsi Challenge.
Wow, that's tough.
Admit it.
The Pepsi Challenge.
This is 1980 in 3D.
2 out of 3.
Headed straight for your face.
Yay!
I love the 80s.
3D.
I love the 80s. I love the 80s.
3D.
Loved movie fame. Very inspirational. That kind of changed my life.
I'm not going to tell you that I became a performer because of the movie Fame, because that would be gay, but I'm not going to tell you that.
Everybody knew about Fame.
That's a god lie.
Fame the movie was this performing arts school in New York. Everybody was creative, and they would break out in a dance.
Fame was an exciting, inspiring movie that also encouraged a lot of unhealthy behavior. Dancing around as you eat lunch is a great way to get an esophageal hernia. Hot lunch.
Whenever I hear that song, Hot Lunch, I just want to get up and dance and sing in somebody's mouth.
That is a prison term, right?
My character in Fame was Lisa Monroe, and she always got yelled at for not sweating enough.
Let's let Monroe more sweat!
I remember Bruno Martelli, who's the keyboard genius.
Who needs orchestras? You can do it all with a keyboard and amp and enough power.
My favorite character is Mr. Sharovsky, who would always yell at Bruno.
Mr. Martelli?
He didn't like his style of music.
That's not music, Martelli. That's masturbation.
Leroy. Who didn't love Leroy?
Leroy was a natural born talent.
If I'm going to be one of the Fame kids, it's going to be Leroy, because A, he was cut, B, the boy could dance.
He had the best leg extension I have ever seen.
Poor Leroy. Tight braids and tight nuts.
Coco getting tricked into taking her top off.
She thinks it's a legitimate audition, and the guy who's auditioning her is just really interested in sex.
Could you take your top off, please?
Take my top off? Okay. Woo!
Smile for me, yeah.
And could you lick it? Okay. And could you just play with yourself a little bit? Sure. Really heartbreaking scene.
The movie's kind of depressing, but the theme song was so fun.
I wanna live forever.
I'm gonna learn how to fly.
They would never permit people to just dance through the streets now. I mean, that's a $50 ticket right there.
Publicity of the type he could certainly have done without followed Paul McCartney's arrest for bringing marijuana into Japan.
Paul McCartney was arrested in Tokyo for possession of marijuana.
That was a drag, man.
It was a shocker because none of the Beatles songs seemed to have any connection to drugs.
Paul McCartney had a half a pound of weed in his luggage.
Not too bad. Not just like a joint or two.
These Japanese just went off the deep end.
It was a mistake, really.
And then they look at me, you have any marijuana? He's like, no. You know what I mean? Strip search him.
I don't know what he was thinking. Sometimes people forget that they're still citizens of the universe.
This substance, cannabis,
is a whole lot less harmful than rum punch, whiskey, nicotine, and glue.
Free Paul McCartney! Free Paul McCartney!
I just was trying to imagine that, you know. Is this serious? Am I really going to be in jail for 7 years?
When you're one of the most successful musicians of all time, I think you should be able to hire someone else to do all your drug running.
Why didn't he give it to the drummer? The drummer's the guy that should get busted.
This is not my carry-on, that's Bob's. Bob, what are you doing putting your in my stuff?
And at 9 days in the clink, yes. A rich experience of life.
Paul must have really been bugging in that Japanese jail.
You think the other inmates knew he was Paul McCartney? Were they like, sing Hey Jude?
Oh, Paul McCartney. Hello. Wow, that's amazing. What I would have paid for to be in that jail cell with Paul. You and me, Paul. I love your work, Paul. I have a lot of questions. Do you know what I mean? Who's the Eggman?
It's Paul McCartney. Give the guy a break.
He should be immune to any laws. He should be like a diplomat.
Paul, why do you need it? You know, you have your music. You have your fans. What else do you need?
I don't take drugs. I never have taken drugs. Are you going to?
No? Were you worried about being
Never again.
Bogus.
In 1980, Mattel decided, you know what? We're going to start having a black Barbie and a Hispanic Barbie.
I mean, let's face it, the plastic reign of the blonde hair, blue-eyed Barbies had come to an end.
We just as beautiful as them white girls, just as beautiful.
We got them into my town via the Underground Railroad, and we found them to be just as boring as regular Barbies.
They put on the box, she's black, she's beautiful, she's dynamite. Is this J.J. Walker's little sister?
Why should white girls just have issues with their bodies? Shouldn't black women and Hispanic women also feel like they're not good enough?
The great thing is that they didn't do anything for the features that made it anything different. Somebody got some shag pile carpeting.
Put a little afro on her head and said, voila! Black Barbie.
Would it have killed the Mattel people to hire a black person to help them design the black Barbie?
White people. Y'all try.
It says if you feed her, she turns into Lonnie Love. I used to have a crush on Lonnie.
I understand that.
All they really did was paint the white Barbie black and yellow or whatever color Puerto Ricans are. What color is Hispanic?
The way that you can tell that she's Hispanic is they gave her hoop earrings and black hair.
They just dressed her in old West Hooker clothes.
I'm surprised she doesn't have like a taco and a shot of tequila.
Let's not kid ourselves. That is not a Spanish ass.
You are so right.
I love 80.
Life throws you a lot of challenges, but nothing more difficult to overcome than the Pepsi Challenge.
If you haven't taken the Pepsi Challenge yet, come on, let your taste decide.
The idea of the Pepsi Challenge is we want you to drink our soda and you tell us which one you like better.
They had a major Coke-Pepsi war going on. A lot of innocent women and children died.
The Pepsi Challenge has been showing that more people prefer Pepsi over Coke.
I actually took the Pepsi Challenge once.
I actually did that in the kitchen with our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, good times.
I think today's test was very honest.
Pepsi has a better product, and that's probably why they're running a test like this. I read that it's all a big scam.
Do you believe in the Pepsi Challenge?
Honestly, no.
Oh, yeah. Pepsi Challenge totally fixed. They need like this cold, fresh can of Pepsi, and then this flat Coke. I don't know. This is better. Do I have to be blindfolded to take the Pepsi Challenge?
Okay, what's better, Pepsi or Coke? As if, like, you're going to watch TV and go, I'm going to go with what that guy likes.
I was a Coca-Cola person.
Wow, that's tough.
I always pick Pepsi.
The Pepsi Challenge was never about preference. It was about getting it right.
You picked the Pepsi.
I'm going to say number one was Pepsi.
God it! God it!
I can't believe that. There's a difference.
What will you say?
The Pepsi Challenge. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3.
I love 80.
Coming up, Richard Pryor plus fire equals comedy gold.
Richard Pryor blew himself up smoking cocaine.
That looks like
Plus, that great American statesman, Neil Diamond.
Everywhere around the world, we're coming to America.
Next. Next on I Love the 80s 3D, 1980. But first, movies that should have been made in 3D.
Hey 3D fans, Weird Al Yankovic here, practically jumping out of the TV and into your living room with the movies that should have been made in 3D for 1980. 9 to 5. Dolly Parton in 3D would take this classic from PG to R faster than you can say glass ceiling. And of course, Xanadu. It's already got roller skating, disco music, and glowing blue people. All you need to add is 3D, and voila, hell on earth. And there you have it, the movies that should have been made in 3D for 1980. Because 2 dimensions just aren't enough.
Paula Abdul here, bringing you the teen idols that made your heart skip a beat back in 1980. Joni's Main Squeeze, Scott Baio. Desert Island Dreamboat, Chris Atkins. And Michael Jackson. His moves were off the wall. Those were the teen idols of 1980. Straight up, now tell me, is it gonna be you and me together? Straight up.
I love the beat.
Richard Pryor, the comedian and writer, was badly burned in an accident at his home in California last night.
That was like the shot heard around the world, you know? Richard Pryor blew himself up smoking cocaine.
That looks like
It was like shocking, and he almost died from that.
Why was he doing it? He was trying to get high. He wanted to get high.
You can tell when you up, man. When you get to the hospital and the doctor go, ah!
Richard Pryor either walked or ran nearly 1.5 miles from his house to this location where an ambulance rescued him.
I did the 100-yard dash in 4.3.
He leaned over my window and asked me to help him.
And what did you say?
I told him to get in. I'd take him to the hospital.
You know that even when he was like on fire and like his head is just engulfed in flames, he's going, this is going to be a good bit.
I remember this one. Then strike the match like this. What's that? Richard Pryor running down the street.
The best thing of all was he didn't singe his mustache. It was a miracle.
Something went wrong in the experiment. See, Richard didn't take chemistry class.
When drugs require needles and flammable equipment, I think you've got a problem.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. When that fire hits your ass, that will sober your ass up quickly.
That's the lesson to the children. If you're going to freebase at home, do it in a safe environment without a lot of flammable stuff.
I thank God every day, Jack. I do. I say, God, thank you for not burning my...
I love 80.
New fruit roll-ups have real fruit and fun rolled up in one.
This, my friend, is a fruit roll-up.
Everybody ate fruit roll-ups. I'm certainly no exception to the rule, may I?
I remember them being a big round thing. Yeah, it was like really made of fruit and had seeds in it.
It's the Lord's natural fruit goodness.
You could kind of convince yourself, like, what? I'm being healthy.
It says right on the side, made from real fruit.
Fruit roll-ups are the chewy new snacks made with real fruit.
Or at least as much of it as we can possibly squeeze from dried corn syrup.
Real fruit and fun rolled up in one.
And this is harder to open up than a condom on prom night.
It kind of gave a nice insight into your personality because people ate them differently.
I think I like to just wad mine up into a ball and like take bites out of it.
You could do this and stuff it all around.
I learned all of my sexual experiences from the fruit roll-up.
It's good.
I would like to get a naked boy and put it on his butt and then look it up.
Kids, don't do this at home.
Daddy Natanopolis, I need to get up.
You could use it for so many different things. For frisbee.
You make a mustache.
The very colorful yarmulke.
If you were trying to quit smoking, it was a great patch.
They made the parents happy, but they made the kids happy. They're really sweet, really chewy. Good stuff.
Real fruit and fun rolled up in one. New from Fruit Corners.
I think Cars was, for me, like the quintessential 80s song.
had that great riff in the beginning.
It's awesome. I cannot get that out of my head.
Then it got real gay.
Here in my car, I feel safest of all.
I can lock all my doors.
In cars.
Gary Newman just looked new wave. He fit the mold.
I remember he was a little bit strange looking.
He had that kind of goth look.
He was very pale. He needed a little sun.
Obviously, he's completely influenced by David Bowie in his Berlin cocaine phase.
You're used to this. You're used to this. Oh, now I'm going to mix it up. Now I'm over here.
It was so low budge and funny.
Didn't he have his face, like, in a tambourine or superimposed on, like, the keyboard keys?
I thought it was pretty awesome. It was like super CGI effects, right?
You still hear it now, and, you know, you start moving.
Android or not, I love you, Gary Newman. Buck Rogers is about a guy who is frozen in space, wakes up 500 years later, and his whole world is gone.
I kind of like it out here. It's a bit primitive, but then it is the south side of Chicago.
Gil Gerard played Buck Rogers.
He was a real stud.
You got any plans for tonight?
As a matter of fact, no.
It's too bad, I do.
Erin Gray, wasn't she in that?
Hi, Buck.
Erin Gray with the blue eyes, and she was in Silver Spoons after that.
I'm Colonel Deering, commander of the 3rd Force of the Earth Directorate.
That was the hottest chick in space.
My character's name was Colonel Wilma Deering.
Yeah, Wilma.
Apparently, spandex is the only fabric that will survive in the 25th century.
It was so tight that it was like wearing a girdle from head to toe.
To a 10-year-old, that was like softcore porn.
Erin Gray, if you're out there, call me. And bring the outfits.
Wilma's looking real foxy.
I had the worst robot in the history of science fiction shows.
What is that?
This is Twiki.
Looks like a robot costume that I made when I was like 12, where I just took a box, spray painted it gray.
Like a little midget in tinfoil. How'd he talk again?
Beady, beady, beady.
How is it that this is the third I Love the 80s, and we're only now talking about Twiki?
This is ridiculous.
Somebody dropped the ball here.
Hi there.
The surprise of Gary Coleman on Buck Rogers is that he was not brought on to play Twiki.
Don't give me any of that Dr. Doom jive.
What you talking about, Wilma?
Special effects was so bad on Buck Rogers.
It looked like it had a budget of like maybe $200 an episode. Someone was on some major drugs when they created this, but not the good kind of creative drugs. Kind of like that bad acid that you have when you're like 17.
No, Captain. Let's go home.
My boys are yours. I love 80.
Coming up, in television for IQs 200 and higher.
You have to be a math genius to play baseball.
Plus, AC/DC perform a public service.
Music that makes you want to drive fast and punch people.
Next on I Love the 80s 3D, 1980. But first,
Chuck Woolery here with the best on-screen hookup of 1980. John Travolta and Deborah Winger in Urban Cowboy. Travolta quickly learned that Houston wasn't Brooklyn, and it would take a little more than doing the hustle to make a Texas-style love connection with that feisty little filly Deborah Winger. So he traded in his white suit for blue jeans and a cowboy hat, took a mechanical bull for a ride. You know, if things don't work out in the future for these two, we can always have them back and let the audience pick who they should date. And of course, dinner will be on us. There you have it. John Travolta, Deborah Winger, the best on-screen hookup of 1980. And we'll see you 2 and 2.
I love the 3D.
Hello, darling. Elvira here with the biggest boobs of 1980. Hold on. Just get your mind out of the gutter, will you? And your eyes off my chest. I don't mean these boobs. I'm talking about Rosie Ruiz. Now, she ran only the last mile of the 1980 Boston Marathon, yet she was still declared the winner. Now, here's the kicker. After she was found out, she still wouldn't give that medal back. Now, I heard of sore losers before, but this one takes the prize. Here's to you, Rosie. The biggest boob of 1980. And trust me, I'm an expert.
I love the 3D.
The Post-it note changed my life. And I'm going to go down as saying it's the greatest invention ever. Ever.
Post-its came out in 1980. What has ever been greater than the Post-it?
I cannot believe these have been around for a quarter century now.
I put that right up there with the toilet.
When I tell my daughter Arnold called 17 times, I make it stick.
You can leave notes for anyone and everyone, and it takes this much time. Bap.
What a huge slap in the face to Scotch tape.
Tape's so played out. Tape is so 1970s.
I first saw Post-its at my dad's office, and I remember thinking they were so fancy.
Oh, what would I use them for? Well, I'm a comedian, so you know me. I'd put like, don't forget to buy eggs, and I put it on the fridge.
I take one, and I fold it, and then I put my mascara on.
What do you define as a problem with Post-its? I know my limits. I know what I'm comfortable with.
They're addicting.
She makes it stick.
Post-its were the ultimate in passive-aggressive behavior.
The 80s version of an angry email.
I want a divorce.
Stay out my room.
Clean the dishes. A much more peaceful means of communication.
Well done, Mr. Post-it. I don't know who you are, but I say thumbs up.
I love 80. AC/DC Back in Black is the quintessential rock and roll album.
Black cover, said AC/DC on it. Just kept it simple.
AC/DC rocks.
Music that makes you want to drive fast and punch people. Got news from the news.
Their lead singer dies. They go and they find Brian Johnson.
Everybody thought, can they be as good as the old AC/DC? And Brian Johnson said, yes, we can.
It sounds a little bit like a sheep. Back in Black, I guess it's that they've turned a profit this quarter. Okay, they're out of debt. You're back in black. Congratulations. You don't have to scream about it.
That is rock and roll.
I could not deal with AC/DC and then that.
Talking about some pipes.
Yeah. No.
I think he's got a little schoolboy outfit, but with knickers.
What's with that guy?
Shook me all night long.
That's my cup of tea.
That's like a one-night stand fantasy that every 14-year-old boy could possibly have.
She was a fast machine. She kept the motor
Clean, which is actually very considerate. She had her oil changed before their engagement.
She had the sex touch.
She had the what?
She had the size, telling me no lies. Knocking me out with those American guys.
One of the greatest couplets in rock and roll.
Was clinging, my mind was aching. Where I'm making it and you shook me all night long.
You shook me all night long? What were they talking about?
AC/DC was kind of known for making the same song over and over.
It's formula, 3 chords, but they make the formula work.
I love 80. Introducing In Television, the new home video system from the Telelectronics.
Intellivision was like the rich man's Atari.
If you try them both, there's only one conclusion you can come to. Intellivision.
I wanna rock.
This had better graphics, if you can believe it.
When you played with Intellivision, you thought you were really blasting asteroids.
Hey, you want to come over to my house and play television? Yeah, Hal, I really like to come over and play in television, but only if you just don't talk for like 10 minutes. Do you think you could do that, Hal?
Sure, but...
Just because I've noticed you never shut up.
Here's an easy question for you. Which of these games is the closest thing to the real thing? A, Intellivision baseball, B, Atari baseball.
I think baseball was the best Intellivision game.
You see, I told you this question was easy.
Despite the fact that it required you to use all like 87 buttons.
You have to be a math genius to play baseball.
It's like trying to play a video game with your iPod. It's really, really hard.
I never played it before because I couldn't figure out how to hook it up.
If you got the Intellivision, you were just a little better. Pissed me off.
Discover Intellivision. It can change your family's life. Cool beans.
Moody, I'd like you to meet my bodyguard.
My bodyguard was about this skinny kid who hires his tough friend to be his bodyguard.
They couldn't do this movie today because it would just be like, oh, you got a bodyguard? I got a gun. Say hello to my little friend.
Christopher Makepeace playing Clifford Peach in My Bodyguard.
Clifford, is that Peach or Peachy?
Peach was Rudy the Rabbit in Meatballs and still getting picked on.
Chris Makepeace plays a guy whose dad is Martin Mull and his grandmother is Ruth Gordon, so his life should be all giggles and ha-has, but no, he goes to public school.
Matt Dillon, teen actor extraordinaire for the 80s, played Melvin Moody.
Just throw money.
He's just your perfect ass.
I'm still intimidated by Matt Dillon.
You don't want to mess with Melvin.
He's moody.
I'm not going to give you my lunch money. I have to eat.
He's basically extorting money from all these other kids.
Fuck a day.
Listen, Peach, you don't give me your lunch money, it's gonna be hell to pay. I'm gonna make you watch One Night at the Cool's. I'm not joking around, man.
Would you like to make some money?
He hires Linderman to be his bodyguard.
Anything you want to say to me? Talk to him first.
I remember thinking that guy's been held back. He's way too old to be in high school.
I wouldn't mess with Melvin Moody, man. I would hire Adam Baldwin.
Obviously, I have a bodyguard now. Since these shows started airing, I have Ashley Simpson's old bodyguard. His name's Tiny. It's ironic because he's huge.
You find out Linderman's got a soft side.
Shut up! I didn't find him. I killed him.
And they end up becoming buddies. He's really into motorcycles.
Go ahead, climb aboard.
They drive on the bike and it's yay!
We can need your damn bodyguard over here. Come on!
The great scene at the end, Cliff finally stands up and takes care of things himself.
Come on, Whip. It's priceless. It's like every little nerd who's ever thrown a punch. He just kind of gets him in the nose. And Matt Dillon just goes down. It's beautiful.
You broke my nose. You broke my nose.
You broke my nose. You broke my nose.
I really think he broke his nose.
Rudy knocks Matt Dillon's lights out at the end of that movie. Good for him. Good for Rudy.
Christopher Cross. He's very popular with the ladies and with the gentlemen, but they wouldn't admit it as much.
I like the Christopher Cross. I got nothing bad to say about him.
I hated Christopher Cross. Nothing personal, just that voice. Ugh.
It's not far down to paradise. At least it's not for me.
I remember the first time I heard Sailing, I thought, when did Kermit get his own solo album?
Sailing
Takes me away to where I've always heard it could be.
I love sailing because it takes me away to where I'm going.
Very heartwarming and emotional.
Should have called it golfing.
It's soothing, and you don't really have to listen to it, which I like. It can just sort of exist in the background, and I don't need to hear it.
sailing.
I'm hearing it, but I'm not hearing it.
Just a dream in the wind to carry me.
I resent the implication in sailing that it's an easy sport, that it's just a dream in the wind to carry me, and soon I will be free. Not so. You've got to trim the sail, you've got to raise the jib. It's a very difficult sport.
I Love 80. Coming up, a toy for fashionistas in training.
Oh, look, I'm drawing. No, actually, you're doing a charcoal relief.
Plus, you won't think Sugar Ray's so sweet when he knocks you on your keister.
He'd just be laying back for a while, and then the last 30 seconds of a round, pow, 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 pow.
Wow! You didn't see that, did you? Next on I Love the 80s 3D, 1980. But first, the hot moms of 1980.
Hi, I'm Alan Thicke, the Love Doctor, here with your prescription for the hot moms of 1980. Foxy Redhead, Ann Romano, it would be super to be her super. Alice Hyatt, hey, I'm a big tipper. And Vicky LaMotta from Raging Bull, I could take a whole lot of LaMotta. Those are the red hot moms of 1980, and I'll make room for them on my couch anytime.
Hi there, I'm Emmanuel Lewis, here to school you on the pop culture term of 1980. Like, used as a modifier. Like became the must-have accessory to go with every sentence. Like even this one. For example, Webster was like one of the coolest shows of the 1980s. That was a pop culture term of 1980. Like, you've been schooled.
I Love the 3D.
I loved Neil Diamond in The Jazz.
Great movie.
He played a cantor's son who couldn't follow in his father's footsteps.
He has dreams, aspirations, to be a rock star. Don't we all?
It's not tough enough being a Jew.
He had to go to Hollywood and find out if he had the stuff.
I have to go out there for 2 weeks.
No. And he did. No more cantor's son for him.
Called it the jazz singer, but he wasn't singing jazz.
Rock!
You gotta love those sideburns. He gave Elvis a run for his money. Neil rocked it.
Yeah, he was hot. I remember thinking, like, I wanted to put my head on his chest. Is that weird? Because I didn't know a lot of hairy guys then. Then he meets Lucy Arnaz.
I offered him my body once.
The girl. She's a shiksa, right?
He settled for a pizza.
Who plays his father?
So Laurence Olivier, greatest actor ever.
Laurence Olivier, genius actor. Oh, please.
What a nice place you got here, Yassel.
What are you doing to me, Yassel? Marrying a shiksa?
That's easy stuff.
Bob, this is Molly.
My favorite scene is when Sir Laurence Olivier gets really upset that his son's doing rock and roll and is choosing this lifestyle, and he rips up his shirt.
Oh, God, that's a heavy day. Lost his son, and that coat's gone.
Why are you doing this?
It was a very dramatic film, and some great songs came out of it.
Love on the Rocks. Ain't no big surprise. Pour me a drink, and I'll tell you some lies. Woo! That boy can sing.
I do remember there's a big finale in the end where Neil does kick some ass in front of all the peeps.
And when I hear America, it makes the hairs in the back of my neck stand up a little bit. It's like, that's a new national anthem.
Everywhere around the world, coming to America. Every time that flag's unfurled, they're coming to America. Today, our country to the day. Today.
Sweet land of liberty.
Today! Oh, the I sing. Oh, the I sing.
Keep saying today.
Today!
The Jazz Singer was a great movie, but the one message that I think that the children out there who are watching should really get from that movie is don't marry a shiksa.
I love 80.
At Fashion Plates, I designed the hottest look.
I can't believe you found this. You were a designer when you had Fashion Plates.
You don't even understand. See, this is like God.
Fashion Plates was this toy, and you put the plates in, and you would color it in, and you could make all kinds of different outfits.
Put the sheet of paper in.
Lay that part of it over.
Then, there we go.
Just real simple.
Then you slide over and you do the patterns and you fill it in.
And I have created a headless bridesmaid.
Short skirt? Check.
Notice the legs.
Check.
Arms up in a sexy pose.
And there she is. Quite frankly, my dream woman.
It actually kind of looks like the new J-Lo line now that I look at it.
I would try to make good outfits, but I'm sure they were really bad. I mean, I still hardly know how to dress myself.
It was for kids with no artistic talent whatsoever. Oh, look, I'm drawing. No, actually, you're doing a charcoal relief. It's not the same thing.
Fashion Plates gave aspiring designers a full sense of security. I mean, these models, if you will, were very tame. They weren't coked up. They weren't throwing things. It isn't the fashion world.
Oh my God.
Sugar Ray Leonard, the charismatic WBC welterweight champion, has become America's newest hero.
Sugar Ray Leonard was an amazing boxer in the early 80s.
We used to call him Baby Ali because he reminded us so much of Ali.
Muhammad Ali had retired, and there was a big void in boxing, and Sugar Ray Leonard ran with it.
I liked Sugar Ray Leonard because he was a pretty man.
Sugar.
Now, I'm a pretty man, so he made me feel less effeminate.
He lifted the look of boxing to another level, glam and glitz.
You remember the 7-Up commercials with Sugar Ray and his son in there? That kid was pretty cute.
That's just my dad.
Because you can't see. He'd just be laying back for a while, and then the last 30 seconds of a round,
Taking a backward step.
Look at that. What's going on here? Wow! You didn't see that, did you?
Bond tries to fight back. Bonds is hurt.
And he was doing this, you know, and boom, and like treating him like a Three Stooge.
Mama said knock you out.
Oh!
And he'd win.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm Sugar Ray, baby.
One of his most famous fights was with Roberto Duran.
Roberto Duran just gave up. He said, forget it. Because Sugar Ray was putting it on him.
He did what he thought was best, and that was to quit.
He was like, no mas, no mas.
Everybody in the ghetto was like, what no mas mean?
Don't beat me like that.
No mass? We're not going to church Sunday. Is that what that means?
Eventually, Sugar Ray Leonard had to quit boxing because he got a detached retina.
I sustained an eye injury.
He kept retiring. Then he come back. Then he retired again. Okay, for real. I'm going to stop playing.
I have retired for good.
Then he come back. But he was a great boxer.
Thank you, and God bless you all.
I love 88. Ladies and gentlemen, the terrible elephant man.
Oh, shocking.
The Elephant Man was based on a true story.
It was an incredibly beautiful film. I remember just weeping throughout the whole movie.
Elephant Man is about a man, John Merrick, who had a disease. He had elephantitis, where your face just looks like dog.
That sucked, man.
This is about a guy with an unfortunate medical condition, and that condition is exploited for profit. Just like they did to John Holmes.
At one point, they show the Elephant Man what he looks like.
Is this bothering you? I'm sorry. You'd have to have a pretty thick skin if you had a head the size of 4 basketballs and a football.
Poor Elephant Man.
He was a freak until Anthony Hopkins discovered him.
Simply want to look at you.
And figured out that there was actually a beautiful human being inside this giant head.
As an interesting side note, in spite of the aforementioned anomalies, the patient's genitals remain entirely intact.
Yeah, I think the Elephant Man, based on the sympathy element, could get to first base.
Oh, I told you I'm not into bestiality.
But going farther than that, that'd be a bit rough. Until they saw his elephant wag.
Okay, fine. So I'd take a hit for the team. What's the big deal?
John Merrick finally became a socialite. He became a popular person among the rich.
Then they discovered that he was very artistic, and the ladies kind of fell for him because they love the artist. Hard to get past that head. That guy got a lot of forehead kisses. Oh, John.
I don't want this image in my head anymore.
I am not an animal. I'm not an animal.
I am not an animal. I'm an elephant.
I am a human being.
If I was going to recommend anything to the Elephant Man, get rid of the protruding knob on the top of your head. That and rouge.
I love 88.
Coming up, horny camp girls.
The moral to Little Darlings is whether your intention is to make a movie that teenage boys will masturbate to or not. They're gonna. I want to go to camp.
Next on I Love the 80s 3D, 1980. But first, craving some 3D bonus material and 80s ringtones? Log on to VH1.com. Make sure to check out V-Spot. Guilty, not guilty of 1980.
The less than honorable Harry Anderson presiding. Defendant, reality TV pioneer, that's incredible. The charge, reckless incredibility. Producers thought the warning, don't try this at home, would prevent young viewers from trying to walk on a bed of nails, juggle chainsaws, or recreate John Davidson's hairdo. Final verdict, guilty as charged. The sentence, a guilty conscience and time served. The court of 1980 is now in recess.
I love the 3D.
When did you lose your virginity?
I know what boys like.
Little Darlings equals girl power.
Girls?
The 70s, it was all about the guys getting laid. The 80s, finally, the girls get a chance.
I remember thinking, wow, they want it too?
It's a contest.
Little Darlings is about Kristen McNichol and Tatum O'Neal, these two girls who will run around summer camp trying to lose their virginity.
Who is going to get stuck first?
I'll bet my residual check.
We should have gone with the original title, which was statutory rape.
That Paris will become a woman by the end of the summer.
I'd be like, come on, girls, stop all the fighting. We can put this contest to rest right now.
It's all about getting the virginity and losing yours. You want to collect virginities like Hummels.
Do you realize that I'm almost the only virgin in camp?
Now, it's obvious that Tatum O'Neal had everyone beat, before the movie was even made.
I know enough.
She, was a drinker at 7.
Do you have to put it so crudely?
Yeah, Kristen McNichol.
I think guys are a pain in the ass.
The girl on the edge.
Kristen McNichol, a little too for me.
What about me, Ed?
I think they both were incredibly hot in their own way.
We're gonna fall out of what?
So one of them was trying to bone Matt Dillon.
It was a lot of teenage girls' fantasies.
I wouldn't sleep with Matt Dillon if I was in that movie.
You're kinky. And one of them was trying to bone someone else.
You sort of want me, don't you?
Armand Asante. He was the camp counselor.
You're underage.
He was a hairy man, too, from France.
Oui, oui.
Oh, this is so romantic.
Cynthia Nixon actually was in there, who went on to Sex and the City.
She was in Little Darlings?
She was sort of the flower child
Drink.
who would give them herbal drinks to, you know, get them alluring.
It'll make you sexy. Losing your virginity should be private.
Shooting about sex with her little girlfriends. Yeah, Cynthia Nixon has been playing the same part her entire life.
You know what bugs me about Little Darlings? Everybody's all up in arms. These two 15-year-old girls are talking about losing their virginity.
I'm in the flower of my youth.
That's natural. You know, what's wrong with having sex? Everybody does it.
I want to go to camp. Then you go to camp and you're like, this is nothing like Little Darlings.
Congratulations. You won fair and square.
Here's the twist of that particular movie. There is a twist.
Do you feel different?
She was like, you know, I really didn't do it.
My whole affair was a lie. Come on. He didn't even touch me.
She fessed up, and the other girl was like, well, I did.
Me and Randy.
They were good girls after all.
I've really been idiots, you know.
Yeah, right.
That movie turned me into a slut.
The moral to Little Darlings is whether your intention is to make a movie that teenage boys will masturbate to or not, they're gonna.